Hello again. Again, I didn't know I was going to start recording until now, which is why I'm wearing a silly hat, because I didn't think anyone would see me. But I'm not getting any younger, and so I kind of want to keep the sun off my face if possible. So I actually stayed at my studio last night because I needed a bit of space and some peace on my own as I navigate extricating myself from my marriage, and like I said in the previous video, I'm trying to sell the house, so I'm a little bit in limbo at the moment. Where my studio is, my photo studio, it's in a lovely little village. It's quite quiet and it's near a canal and also a few reservoirs. I love coming up to the reservoir. There's lots of bird life on it, and as a girl that grew up by the sea, I like to be as far as possible near a big open space of water, so that's another reason I'm really drawn to it. However, as you can see, I'm nowhere near, well, I'm near a reservoir, but I'm actually in a muddy sort of farmer's field at the moment because, annoyingly, well, I guess they have to maintain it, but the pathway around the reservoir is shut at the moment and they're doing some sort of serious work to the pathway. I guess they have to check that the walls are safe and everything. Not leaking. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get up to another way to get to the reservoir where the footpath won't be shut. So it actually is some fields that go around the reservoir. I just need to go for a nice walk this morning. That's all I'm trying to do, and I want to be out in nature. Now there is a canal here. It's an offshoot of the main canal of the Grand Union, and there's a little one that's called the Wendover Arm. It's quite a skinny little canal, very pretty, but it shoots off and, well, meanders off, but then it comes to a dead end, because what's happened is, well, I think there always was a dead end, but quite a large portion of it is now dried out. I need to just check when that happened and why. Got a feeling it was a bit leaky. So it's been out of use for many, many years. There is a project where people have donated money to restore it, that part of the canal. So what you'll find is Wendover Arm, it is a canal, and I'll video some bits for you. But you can only go so far, then it stops. And then the other side is just an empty canal. So I have had a look up there, and one evening it was sunset, and I was just imagining if that part of the canal was filled up with water again, and I was sitting there on my boat of the future, my narrow boat, that I realised you could look across to the reservoir. And that evening, when I was looking and dreaming, I could see the sun setting through the trees in the reservoir, and I thought, oh wow, I really, really hope they do restore that part of the canal. It seems to be very slow. I've never actually seen anyone working in it other than, well, I haven't seen anyone working in it. I've seen some tools and a spade. So who knows? It might not get finished in my lifetime, which would be a bit of a shame. So this isn't the most interesting view for you, so I'm going to just stop there. And I might carry on in a minute if I actually get to that bit of the canal and I can show it to you. A footpath. And there's a sign that says no swimming. Oh, well, I wasn't planning to go swimming today. I have to say though, when it was really, really hot, we had a few days in England where, when was it, about a month ago, where it was reaching almost 40 degrees. There's a footpath close up there. This one's okay. And wow, I was very tempted to swim in the reservoir, which is not a good idea. I don't know. I don't know what's really at the bottom of the reservoir. I don't mean in a Loch Ness monstery sort of way. I just think with reservoirs, there'd be water coming into it, water going out through a weir or something to feed the canals and wherever else it goes. I'm not really sure, and I don't like the idea of maybe being sucked down a pipe particularly. And actually I think it's illegal anyway. I don't think you're allowed to swim in this reservoir. There's also signs that say at certain times you get a certain kind of algae in the water which is really quite toxic, if you were to ingest any of it. I mean, I'm not serious. I wouldn't seriously swim in the reservoir. I think I'm just so flipping hot, and I just love water. Goodness, there's been times I've thought about getting into the canal, but I really wouldn't advise that either. Though a very good friend of mine, well, a couple of them have had to get into the canal sometimes because they've had no other choice. They've had stuff stuck around their propeller, and so literally the propeller wouldn't start, obviously, because they're all tangled up. And while I find that a little bit scary, I am learning through other people's experiences and realising, well, okay, maybe what I'd always do is if I'm about to set off in the boat, I would just get along, you'd keep, I think it's called, what's it called? It's like a long wooden shaft, and you get them sometimes with a hook on the end. There's a name for them. I can't think now. I don't think it's a punt. But anyway, you can use it. It's a big wooden stick. Well, it's not really a stick. It's a pole. It's a barge pole. Obviously, it's a barge pole. So you can push yourself off of, away from banks, or if you're grounded in shallow water, you can use it to help you move away from the sides and back into deeper water. But I think I'd always have a little... I'm just going to say, look at that. There's autumnal colours coming through. Wow. Feels a bit early. I wonder if it's because of the drought we've had. I think I'd always, just before I set off, I'd probably just stick a pole down in the water, just to make sure there isn't anything obvious that could possibly get caught around the propeller. Oh, and there's a pathway up there. I think that takes you up to the empty, dried out bit of the Wendover Arm. So let's head up here. Let's see if there's any work going on here. I have to admit, I can't hear anything. Oh, a squeaky gate. Look, there's a bridge over the canal. Let's take a look. Actually, there's plaques on the bridge with the names of people who supported the restoration of the canal, donated money. I mean, there has been work. As you can see, so this is canal. See, it's dried out, it's full of grass, plastic bottles, always get those in the canal. And here you can see there has been some work. I'm going to pop up the bridge actually. Oh, you can see the plaques there. I hope all those people are still alive and they will actually get to enjoy the canal when it's eventually turned back into a canal. So there we go, look at that. I'm wondering if they'll fill it in sections. I'm wondering why there's a wooden section across there. Do you know, I might actually get in touch with the trust because I'm really interested and curious about the work here. And it's kind of like the canal is waiting for water and I'm waiting for my boat. And hopefully one day I will have a boat and I'll be able to cruise along this stretch with water in it, obviously. I hope so. The Mindful Narrowboat family. Wow, so there's little mini plaques all the way down here. Oh, that's sweet. Now, if I was in a financial position, I would love to contribute. Maybe I could contribute in another way. I'm going to get in touch with these people. There's a sign here. So, path leading to the viewing area at the site of the old White House's pumping station, where you can view the work being carried out to create a new water management system. Well, I'm going to have a little look. What's around here? Like mystery paths. I don't know where I'm going, but oh, this doesn't really feel this is taking me away from the canal. Okay, I'll bear with it. I may be coming back down very shortly. Morning! Right, well, I'm now quite far from the canal, which wasn't my intention. I don't mind because I really fancied a decent walk and fresh air this morning. To be honest, I do most mornings. I don't always do it, but I try to. I think that sheep was sneezing or coughing. You okay now? Touch of hay fever? It's a very small little sheep. It's actually more like a grown sort of, I think it's like a lamb but a teenager. So I'm back down by the disused part of the Wendover Canal. It's a little bit breezy, so I hope that it's not affecting the audio too much, and sorry about the crunchy grass earlier when I was walking. I've just had a chat with a really interesting guy who just happens to be a scientist but retired, and he's part of the Wendover Arm Trust, so he knows a lot about the history of this part of the canal. I'm just going to show you a little bit here, see some of the work that's going on. There's a cement mixer and a couple of wheelbarrows and some plastic chairs, a tank of water, and I guess stuff to make cement with, I don't know. So it kind of looks like, I always kind of thought, well, it doesn't look like anything's happened for months. But apparently he was saying that they work on the first week of the month, every month, and there's been a lot of progress. And he actually believes that we should have water in here in the next year, within the next year, I think he said. I just feel kind of excited. I thought, oh, possibly when I have my boat. He was saying that this part of the canal was originally fed from springs from Wendover, and the idea of this, it wasn't really so much for boaters, it was meant to be a way of feeding that water into the Grand Union to help top it up, because obviously it's got lots of locks and the water drains down the canal. It needs to be topped up using other sources, but this got a bit leaky, so it was kind of decommissioned. Hasn't been in use for about 50 or 60 years. But then a few years ago, I think the locals were saying, come on, let's do something with this and bring it back to life and restore it, because it is in a really beautiful location and it'd be great if people could enjoy it. Big grey thing there. It's almost like a really, really strong version of having a pond liner. So it's impermeable so that water can't escape through it. And then you've got the bricks that are laying on to keep it in place. And then I'm just going to zoom in a bit. You see on the top of the yellow bricks there, that's like a kind of rope. And the idea of that is that then it's to encourage growth of plants, which I suppose it all, you know, as things grow roots, it'll all help hold everything together. And then at the bottom, I think there is a membrane underneath this. On top of this, they're going to put about a foot of soil kind of to help seal everything in. So according to this chap, there's work here every month for at least a week at a time. He said they're going to be back, I think, early September for a couple of weeks. And he said they've made actually lots of progress. And originally this was just full of grass and small trees and everything, and they've had to really, really dig it out. So it's encouraging. I believe one day I will be sailing my dream boat, my dream narrowboat on this little stretch of the canal. So I'm going to head back to the studio, but on the way back I'm going to show you where the current Wendover Arm actually finishes, the bit that still has water in it. So I'll see you there. So here it looks pretty narrow, this part of the canal they've dug out compared to earlier. The chap I was talking to, who's called Peter, was telling me that this will be quite narrow because it will be just for narrow boats and to dissuade any wide beam boats coming along, because there isn't anywhere for them to turn around when you go further up the canal. You can see here, although they've dug it out to some extent, that obviously here they still need to do work in terms of shoring up the banks. See, it's just all rough at the moment, so it's how it was earlier where they've done some work with the permeable membrane and the bricks. But they're working their way down towards this end, and eventually this comes to a dead end. But that's it, so that's as far as it's been dug out. But obviously they will carry on here. So just looking back at where we've come from, so they can obviously dig out this part, and we've got There seems to be some rubble here. Oh, and more bricks. There's the digger, which I guess they use that for clearing out the canal. For some reason, I thought it was a couple of old men with some spades. I don't know why. And then the road's down here, so I'm wondering how I can get to the other side of this area where the canal should start again, the bit that does still have water in it. Wow, so they're volunteers that have been working on the canal. Brilliant. I'm going to get in touch with them. I'm going to see if I can help in some way. Okay, so now I know this bit of road because this is the road I take when I'm driving back to my current house, back from the studio. And I remember driving past this bit and I didn't know what was going on up here, and now I do. And I've been here years. It's funny, sometimes you don't know what's going on your own doorstep. So I just stumbled across a retired couple in the bushes. I was wondering what they're up to, but actually they were just picking damsons. And look at these, they're a beautiful colour. I think they're a type of plum. But they're this gorgeous, like powdery purple, and when you wipe them, it kind of, the powderiness kind of goes away. So they said that what they do is that they stew them and have them with custard, or you can make jam with them. So I'm not a very domestic person, but I do love the idea of baking or making jam in autumn. And even though I know this is really sharp, I don't want to waste it, and I'm sure it's high in vitamin C, so I'm gonna eat it. Damson, yummy. Excuse me a minute. Yeah, they need to be cooked with sugar. Now I think I want to get back on the canal. Oh, so this is the bridge that I drive over every day. And there she is. The Wendover Arm with watering. Hopefully, in the not too distant future, she'll be connected to her other half. So the bridge behind me is Little Tring Bridge, and I've realised that that is a bridge that I've driven over for the past 11 years, usually twice a day, and I've never actually seen it from this angle. I've just driven over it. But I'm here now. So this bridge is actually a new bridge, or newish, compared to the original, which was demolished in 1973, despite people protesting that the canal would one day be reopened again. I guess when they demolished it, they didn't think they needed it. I don't know, I'm not quite sure about the history of that. But this new one was built and opened in 2001, and it was funded fully by donations from the Wendover Trust, I believe. So it's been built, oh, I'm echoey. It's been built to modern standards, but I guess trying to keep to the sort of traditional style. So here you can see it's really narrow. I have been down this stretch on a narrow boat, and it was lovely. It is a bit of a tight squeeze, not for a wide beam. So this is where the Wendover Arm currently ends. You can moor here, but only for 48 hours. And also, as you can see, much wider here. I think this is what you call a winding hole. I always want to call it a winding hole. Apparently it's a winding. So this is where you can turn the boat around, because you'd have I don't know, you'd need a bit more than a 3-point turn to turn it around otherwise, further up the canal. I'm not sure if it's even possible, actually. So I think around here's the dead end. There you go. Just temporary. This is where she ends. I think she'd like her other arm back. I'd really like to document the restoration of this canal, with my dream of one day being able to cruise along it with my own boat. So I'm heading back now. I'm not too far away from my studio. I still can't believe that I've had that studio for 11 years, You know, 11 years I've been working there and I've never walked down this little stretch of canal. But better late than never. I've really enjoyed discovering it and learning about the Wendover Arm, and I'm really excited about the restoration and following the progress of it and documenting it as well. I'll see you in the next episode, and if you're enjoying keeping me company on my journey, I'd love you to stick around, so hit subscribe, say hello in the comments, let's connect. See you soon, bye.